ulimwenguni, umeona ni vyema tuweze kuwa hapa wakati ujumbe wa afya unapotolewa. Huu ni ujumbe ambao ni wa siku za mwisho. Wanaohudhuria hapa ndani uweze kuwabariki, wafungue akili zao, waweze kuelewa kile ambacho unanuia waweze kufanya kwa ajili ya afya zao. Na wale ambao wako nje tunaomba pia waweze kuunganika nasi, walio pia online pia waongoze waweze kufuatilia mafunzo haya. Na wale ambao watakapata mafunzo haya baadaye pia mibaraka hii iweze kuwafikia. Kwa jina la Yesu tunaomba tukiamini. Asante waimbaji. Mbele yetu tuna wanakamati wa kamati ya afya, na tunawakilisha kamati hiyo ya afya ambayo inashughulikia afya katika kanisa hii. Na nilivyosema, this is a life-changing presentation. It could be the best 1 or 2 hours of your life before the year ends. Na naisema kwa sababu naelewa the significance of what God has prepared for you who are seated here. Kwa hivyo kama kuna yule unayempenda na ako mahali, mwambie aje asikie. Pamoja nami na ndugu yangu Moses Amimo ambaye pia he is a health professional. Na si ile health professional ya mdomo, akona vyeti kuonyesha, na si mmoja. So he is very qualified to lead us in terms of health, and I appreciate his passion ya kufanyia Mungu kazi. It's not easy to get such passion. Mungu akubariki sana. Kabla nikuintroduce, Mungu akubariki. He's very passionate about God's work, and if you want to know he's passionate about God's work, angalia familia yake. Amen. Amen. Hey, yani hiyo look at his family. His family is serving God, and I thank God is leading from the front. So kuna mafunzo atatupea practical ways za kuimarisha afya yetu. Baada ya hiyo nami pia nitaweza kusema mawili matatu tumalize siku ya leo. We cannot do everything in one day, so we'll do whatever we can, but I can assure you by the end of these few minutes or 1 hour you will not regret sitting here through the whole period of the program. So wangapi wanamkaribisha ndugu yetu Moses? Asante. Nami nayeongea ni ndugu yenu Clarence. Karibuni.
Asante sana Elder. Thank you so much for that part of introduction. Happy Sabbath. Happy day. Now the presentation that we are going to have this afternoon, vile Elder amesema, it's a life-saving presentation. Na kama kuna mtu nje na angependa kusikiza ama kuona, tafadhali ingia ndani. We'll have a session of some practical aspect ambayo tutafanya hapa. I will demonstrate, and I expect a return demonstration from you. Okay? So this thing is going to help you a lot, and I want to encourage you to pay attention, ask questions. I will also ask questions tukimaliza, alafu tuone kama we are on the same page. Sawa sawa? Now, basic life support. Nani mwesikia hiyo ujumbe? Basic life support. Mwesikia hiyo term? Now, labda naweza uliza nikiuliza. Suppose nikiwa kwa presentation hapa, all of a sudden nimeanguka. God forbid. Sindio? What will you do? Let me get a response from this side. Nimeanguka tu hapa once pop. What will you do? Yeah? Atunapata first aid.
Tutatoa nguo tuanze kupulishia hewa.
Haya, mama tanitoa nguo nibaki uchi hapa. Okay. Sawa. Nani anaweza saidia hapa? Nimeanguka pop. I'm presenting now. Then all of a sudden nimeanguka. What will you do?
I'll tell you sorry first.
Ataniambia sorry. Okay, thank you.
I'll check whether you're alive or dead.
Let's check whether I'm alive or dead. Ah, good. Are you a doctor, nurse? How will you know that I'm dead or alive? We check my pulse. Good. You want to say something? What will you do? Let me come here, this row. No, I will spare my family. By the way, do you know my family? Yes. You know them? Okay. What will you do here? Somebody to help this Tarakaniti group. Nimeanguka, pam. Utafanya nini? Sema tu jambo.
Just I would find out if you are still breathing, your pulse are active, and if you are unconscious, I would breathe into your mouth, resuscitate.
Yes.
I will check your airwaves first, whether you are, like, feel whether you are breathing properly, and just as he has said, dictate whether you are conscious or unconscious.
Thank you so much. Yeah. These ideas mumetoa, they are all valid. They are all okay. But there's a sequence that I want you to learn going forward from now. Nimeanguka, or you are walking around, na nimeanguka. Sawa. I want you to see this script. I will demonstrate. I'll choose my family to demonstrate. Then I will bring the other members of the church to see if they can be able to do the same thing. Sawa. Let me call some two gentlemen here. Come. I'm not going to talk. I want to see what they will do. Just in case, these are my sons, okay? So, okay. All of a sudden, Sherrington was preaching, and then he falls down. Oh, let's see what we do. Then Jeremy comes. Let's see what they will do.
Hey, are you okay? Are you okay? Can someone come and help? Someone come and help. Hey, are you okay?
Then help comes. I'm here. What has happened?
This patient, he looks like 15 years. I think he has collapsed. Is there a way we can help? He still has pulse and he's still breathing. So I think he's just fainted. So can we help him?
Okay, can be able to call an ambulance. What can I do?
Please call an ambulance, call 911 so that you can find help. Are you okay? He's not responding. Call 911 and tell them to come with an AED.
Okay, we'll stop it there. Now, I'm going to do a return demonstration. Sherrington just sleep there, and I'm going to tell you what to do. So, when you arrive at the scene, maybe it was kama tu ameanguka tu hapa. Si ndio? You never know kuna waya hapa. Si kuna waya ya stima hapa. Si ndio? Labda amekuwa electrocuted. Kweli? So nikimshika, what will happen? Sasa mimi nitakuwa electrocuted. So the first thing that you know is check on your safety first. Si ndio? Nimekuja, nimepata, amekuwa electrocuted. Nikimshika, I'll be also shocked. Kweli? So what should I do? Naachana naye. Si ndio? Or you get a something wooden, na unatoa, unamsukuma naye kando. Suppose it's not electrocution. Nimempata hapo analala. So the first thing vile nimesema safety first. Si ndio? So what I'll do, I'll check the area, find out if the area is safe. Safety first, number 1, S, safety. Okay? Number 2, stimulate. Okay? So nitakuja karibu na yeye, nitakaa chini. Si ndio? I'm trying to stimulate. So, vile namstimulate, I tap. Namwambia, hello, can you hear me? So, what you do, you try to stimulate on both ears. Labda asikii sikio moja, si ndio? Anasikia kwa ile sikio ingine. Kweli? So, what I will do, I'll try to stimulate him. I tap the shoulders just to find out if he's okay, okay? Hello, Sherrington, are you okay? Can you hear me? Hello, Sherrington, are you okay? Then he's not responding. Ametulia. Si ndio? The next thing is to shout for help. Okay? Help, somebody come. I'll give you a chance. I know you want to say something. Help, somebody help. At that particular time, I check for whether he's breathing and whether there is pulse. Okay? So, kuna mtu aliangalia, alisema he wants to confirm whether I'm alive or dead. Kweli? So I want to check whether he's breathing. How do I check whether he's breathing? How will you know that somebody is breathing? Yes. Utajuaje na I'm breathing? Oh, you're placing the finger on his head.
Kuwekelea sio kufunga, utasikia kama anatoa hewa.
Okay, how do you check whether somebody is breathing? Yes, please.
You listen to the heartbeat.
You listen to the heartbeat. Okay. How do you check? Somebody else? I want a different version. Two major one. How do you check whether somebody is breathing? How is somebody is breathing? What do you see? By the way, am I breathing? Yes. How do you know? Yes, please.
Maybe the movement of the chest.
How do you know somebody is breathing? Yes, please. Unashika? Shingo. Okay, that is pulse. Okay. Now, some key things to check for whether somebody is breathing. Look at the chest movement. Is the chest moving? Sindio? That's breathing. Sindio? Is he talking? Yeah? So when somebody is talking, then that means somebody is breathing. Sindio? You cannot talk and you're not breathing. Number 3, flaring of the nose. Utaona mapua ikifanya hivi na kurudi. Sindio? So that is one thing. You check for breathing. Now, number 2, check for pulse. Yeah? So you want to check for pulse. How do you check for pulse? Ile mtu alikuwa anasema hapa. So there are 2 things, breathing and pulse. Sawa sawa. How do you check for pulse? Kama roho inapiga. How do you check? Yeah? Yes, Elder. How do you call that? Unaweka hapa? Wapi? Just come and demonstrate to me. Is it here? How do you get it? So, kila mtu ashike hii. Inaitwa nini? Adam's what? Okay, ukiwa uko hapo, then you move down and then you side up. Sawa sawa? Una feel. Sawa sawa? Unaweza feel yako? Yeah? We are going to demonstrate. So I'm going to demonstrate how to feel for pulse. Sawa sawa? And then finally, I'm going to call for help. Na mtasikia vile naita help. Sawa sawa? Okay, one more time. Sherrington. So I was walking around, and then all of a sudden, I found Sherrington sleeping there. Okay? Then I check, confirm area is safe, there is safety. Okay? So the first S I said is doing what? Safety first. So the area is safe, and I'm ready to continue. Sawa sawa? Number 2, what do? I stimulate him. So I'm there trying to stimulate. Hello, Sherrington. Can you hear me? Sherrington, can you hear me? Hello, Sherrington, can you hear me? Then there is no response. Amenyamaza. Sindio? So I want to check whether what is happening with Sherrington. Checking for breathing. Okay? I look at him, look at the chest movement, look at the flaring of the nose, then I feel for the pulse. Sawa sawa? So feeling for the pulse, nilikuwa nimewambia hapo, alafu nateremsha hapo chini kusikiza. Sawa sawa? Kama yake nasikia mzuri sana kabisa. Inapiga ta 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 mzuri. Sawa sawa? So that one you already know what is happening. Then I want to shout for help. Help, help. Can somebody help? Can somebody help? Nani anaweza kuja kusaidia? Who is coming? Let me call my wife. Come. Somebody to come and help. Somebody to come and help. So, since somebody is coming to help, I'm going to give instructions. Maybe kama hajafika. Just hold on. Hajafika. Let's say the responder came, who is Jeremy, amekuja. Sawa sawa? So I'll give instructions to Jeremy. Jeremy, can you call an ambulance? Tell them that I have a patient who has fallen down near Umoja One Market. Tell them to carry an emergency tray and an AED. Okay? Sawa sawa. So Sherrington is going to call the emergency. Sindio? Mimi niko na patient. Sawa sawa? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing to my patient wakati Sherrington is calling the ambulance. Can you call the ambulance?
Hello 911. We have a patient here at Umoja 1, and the patient has fallen down, and we require an AED immediately. And you can come with an emergency tray. Thank you.
Help is coming. Sindio? Haijafika. I cannot leave my patient alone. Sindio? So, two scenarios. When this patient is here and the patient is breathing and there is no pulse. Anapumua lakini roho haifanye nini? Haipigi. So that is what brings now what is called cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Umesikia kitu inaitwa CPR? Si ndio? CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Si ndio? So there is a way that we do it. I'll do cardiopulmonary resuscitation for a patient who is breathing but has no what? Has no pulse. Tumekubaliana mpaka hapo? Yes. The other thing that happens when I'm handling a patient who has pulse but is not breathing, is it possible? Is it possible for a patient to have pulse but is not breathing? Yes, that is also possible. So what do I do for that patient? Anahitaji nini? Anahitaji? He's not breathing lakini ako na pulse. Anahitaji nini? Oxygen. Si anataka hewa. Si ndio? So anahitaji hewa, help haijakuja, help ikaribia kukuja. This patient needs those two things. Now, I want to tell you how you can do cardiopulmonary resuscitation. I'm going to demonstrate. So, assuming sitamfinya, nataki kumfinya, that's why nimeleta hii, just to show how CPR is being done, okay? One thing that you know, cardiopulmonary resuscitation, unapeana push mara ngapi? How many? What is the rate? What is the rate of doing CPR? Any idea? 32? You are there. 30 to what? 30 push-ups and how many breaths? 2 breaths. Sawa sawa. So unasukuma mara 30 na unampatia hewa mara 2. I'm going to demonstrate. So make sure patient amelala mzuri na umeweka una hold chest. Kwa roho mali na heart. Yes. So you hold yourself. That's why I was saying this is return demonstration. I'm going to call one or two of you to show me how it's done. Okay? So unashikilia mkono straight kwa chest yake. Unaona vile nimekaa? So I give 30 and I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Nawacha, namobserve, nachukua, nampatia hewa. Si ndio? Help ikikuja, in this help, in this emergency tray, for example, kama uko naye, for example, ni my son, and I want to save him. So I will continue, go ahead and weka mdomo yangu kwa yake. Lakini kama ujui, kama si relative, na ujui status yake. So that is why tukuna hii mouthpiece. This mouthpiece, but then kuna mtu akona emergency tray kwa nyuma. Apart from wale kuna magari. Kuna ile inakuwa magari inakuwa na gloves na nini. Ile ya gari hapo ni ya kustoa polisi, si ndio? What is that part? What is in the emergency tray? Emergency kit bag kama hii. Nani yako naye kwa nyumba? Mko naye? So kuna kitu kama hii. Utakuwa unamwekea kwa mdomo yake. Na unakuzuia na unapuliza mara mbili. Sawa sawa? Unapuliza, unafunga mapua na unampulizia kabisa mara mbili. Then you start again. Sawa sawa? So help imekaribia na help imefika. Help imefika. A professional amefika. Somebody who knows what to do. Si ndio? So wakati mulisikia Jeremy alikuwa anapeana instruction, please carry an AED. An AED is the automated external defibrillator. Sawa sawa? Inasoma roho. Inasoma vile roho inapiga. Sawa sawa? I didn't carry a live one, but I have a video that I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use an AED. Maybe unaweza ona hiyo kidogo, then we continue. Are we there, communication? Okay, let's have a look at it. Haina sauti? Communication, we can't hear you. Okay, communication. Okay, sorry for that. But in essence, what you have just seen is what happens when the AED comes, okay? Atafika naye, then connect kwa mtu vile umeona inakuwa connected. So it will tell you the different type of shocks. Wakati hiyo shock kama roho ilikuwa imepiga, inaenda vibaya, so that they can be able to shock. Sawa sawa? So basic things that you need to take care of. One, it's important for you to have an emergency kit bag, a first aid kit in your place. Sawa sawa? Kama kwa gari, kwa nyumba. Unakuwa na so many things. Kuna hii mouthpiece ambayo unatumia, kuna bandages, kuna so many things. Elastoplast, kuna thermometer, there are so many things. Okay? So it's very important to have such like things at your place. So we are going to have one return demonstration to see whether this gentleman got me right. Okay? And then we are going to capture the next one. And I think I'm still within time. Okay. So we are going to capture the next thing about when somebody is choked. Handling foreign body airway obstruction. Tutaweka hii because of time. We will demonstrate later tukimaliza. Nikiuliza maswali. Just funika. Now, saizi tumetoka kukula. Mtu alikuwa nakula kitu kamenyongwa. Unaona kunyongwa? Si ndio? What will you do? Let me start with this side now. Watu walikuwa nakula, all of a sudden mtu amekitu imemnyonga. Somebody from this side, what will you do? Okay. Si tumekuwa tukikula rice hapa na nyama na kila kitu na chapati. Imenyonga. Yes, my friend. What will you do?
Nitajaribu kuelezea kidogo. Jambo moja najua ni kwamba nitamwinamisha kidogo, alafu nipige. Nifinye.
Ufinye?
Namna hiyo.
Okay, so somebody else, give that one around. Let me hear I want to hear the ladies. What will you do? Wamama, mtoto alikuwa na kuwa choked. Ulikuwa na mfeed, all of a sudden ako choked. What will you do? Hi. Yes, patia pastor pale. Tulikuwa tunakula, all of a sudden.
Thank you. I think in choking, it depends with the age first. Age is a factor. How I'm going to handle him is not the way I'm going to handle the little one. So that is the first factor.
Yes.
There are those whom you bend and you compress. There are those who will pat. This one, that's an example. What I wanted to say before you proceeded was this. On the one who have collapsed and you are just a stranger. I remember I was taught that you need to know the history if you have any information with him. Because maybe I might be having a condition which do not require you to get in touch with him.
Yes.
Is that applicable?
It's applicable. The only challenge is that a study has been done to find out majority of those who collapse, and the most probable way that causes death is circulatory system, cardiopulmonary system. Hapo ndio inakuanga na failure sana. Most of the time, hata kama labda alikuwa mtu wa diabetic, mtu alikuwa pressure, most of the deaths siku hizi zinatoka because of lack of damu kukuwa supplied in the brain. Sana. So the most, it's not wrong to have history, because this is somebody who is unconscious and is not able to give history. So the most important thing is to look at the most probable way that this thing could lead into death. Later on, wakati utakuwa unamwangalia hapo chini, you could have people with bracelets, ako na dawa, mtu wa sukari, si ndio? Sure. Alikuwa amebeba dawa zake, ako na pressure. Kuna wengine wale wa diabetic, wako na bracelets imeandikwa I am diabetic, I'm using this drug. So hizo utaangalia. But kitu ya kwanza, hata kama akiwa diabetic, akikosa blood supply from the heart to the brain, atakufa. Hata kama uko na hiyo dawa, insulin, metformin, zako zote, atakufa tu.
Yeah, thank you. That's maybe that is the area I wanted you to help us understand.
Yes.
That there are people who have conditions.
Yes.
They have history with them. Don't minister anything before you understand the history of the person.
Thank you so much. Na pia uliona kwamba kuna wakati tulipeana dawa hapo. Kuna dawa tulipeana. Hatukupeana dawa. That is basic life support. It can be done by anybody. Sawa. You don't have to be a medical person. You can be done by anybody. Now, Pastor, umesema kitu mzuri nilikuwa nataka niongezee about age. Who is an infant? Mtoto. Who is an infant? An infant. Kuna watu watatu nataka muniambie. An infant, a child, na adult. Who is an infant? Elder umesema mzuri, and that is where we are heading to. Na niko na mtoto, tulibeba our last born. Analala hapa saa hii. We carried our infant. Ako hapo. We will demonstrate how when an infant is choked. Who is an infant?
An infant is 0 to 2 years.
Any other? Yes, an infant. Who is an infant? I'm a child, whichever you want to say.
An infant is past 28 days to 1 year.
Who is a child? Who is a child? Past 28 days to 1 year, 12 months. Who is a child? Mtoto ni nani? Si mko na watoto? Huyu ni mtoto. Si useme mtoto huyu. Mtoto ni 1 to 5 years. Who is a child? Okay. Because of time, amesema mzuri. An infant. 8 days to 1 year. Sawa. A child, 1 year to puberty. Puberty siku hizi ni 13 years. Si ndio? Then after that, for purposes of discussion, an adult, anybody after puberty, akiendelea kuwa mzee. Sawa. So people are going to respond differently, vile pastor alikuwa amesema. Now, what are the signs that mtu amekuwa choked? What are the signs? By the way, there are two. One is mild, the other one is severe. So when somebody has a mild choking, mild, what are the signs? What will you do? What will you see? Coughing, good. Mild one. Yes? A mild one. Hiccup. Somebody ako na mild choking. Amekula tu hapo kidogo. Umesikia choking. Mild. Yes, Pastor.
One of them is the change of color. Color of the eye.
Cyanosis. Lugha ya wale wasomi.
Yes, cyanosis.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. So what happens, hiyo ni severe, pastor amesema. So when there is a mild one, anakohoa, si ndio? Utamuuliza, umenyongwa? Inaninyonga. Si ndio? Sio anaongea, si ndio? There's mild cough, si ndio? What will you do for a mild one before we go to a severe? Ile pastor alikuwa anasema. What will you do? A mild one. Wonderful. You encourage coughing. Mwambie kohoe. Sawa. Akiendelea kukohoa, itamsaidia. Kuna mama aliniambia juzi tukiwa kwa some partial training kama hii. Mnapeana kunywa maji. Inakwambia kunywa maji itasaidia, si ndio? Watu wanakunywa maji. Does it help? Kunywa maji. Inateremsha wapi? Kwa tumbo ama kwa lungs? Inatoa hapa. Okay. So it's good. Because of time nitaharakisha kidogo. So just encourage the person to cough. Sawa. Atai cough from the airway, ataileta kwa tract ya chakula, alafu esophagus na afata meza, si ndio? Ama ataitema nje. Just don't do anything. Just encourage the person to cough. Now, a severe one. What are the signs of a severe one? Mtu ako na severe choking. Severe, yes. Unable to breathe, yes. Another one, yes. He's sweating, yes. Another one. You wanted to say that? Okay, the other one, Pastor talked about the other one. Cyanosis, isn't it? What else? Okay, so mtu amekuwa choked anabehave aje? Ana struggle, isn't it? Most of the time you will see them holding.
Then you need to follow the instructions of the defibrillator.
Ni mbaya? Uko sawa? Umenyongwa ama?
So in most cases hatakuwa anaongea. Sawa. Huyo ni mtu ameweza. He's clutching off his neck. Si ndio? Imemweza. Now we are going to demonstrate. Najua time yangu imeisha. We are going to demonstrate for an adult and for sawa. Now kuna njia mbili ya kufanya kwa adult. And adults we are going to concentrate on an adult hana complications. Next time nikipata time we'll talk about how to handle a pregnant person. Si ndio? So when you are handling, hii kamera yangu haionekani mzuri, but it's a picture like this, anajishikilia. Sawa. Kwamba now we want to do what is called abdominal thrust. Ile ya nataka kutoa hiyo. Si ndio? Haya. Nyorosha mkono yako hivi ya right. Weka hiyo thumb ndani. Shikilia hivi. Sawa. Unaona hii conclusion. Sasa ikiwa kuna demonstrate my son. So hapo the immediate thing nitafanya si hapo mbele. Naweka mguu yangu katikati just to provide a support. Si ndio? Na hapo. Hii mkono nimeweka vile nilikuwa nimewaambia, nashika, naweka hivi. Sawa. Alafu hii inakuja. Where exactly? Unajua yeye ako helpless. Tulia tu siwezi kukuumiza. Yeye ako helpless. Sawa. So don't put it at the chest, don't put it at the navel. Si ndio? Hapo katikati. Tuko pamoja? Shikilia, finya, weka, alafu shika hapa. Si ndio? So because you want to save this person, una pull ndani na nguvu kabisa. Up thrust. Sawa. Usimbembeleze. Sawa, because you want to save life. Are we together? So hold, shika, fanya nini? Sawa. That is how it's done. I want a demonstration. 2 elders hapa, 2 ladies hapa, na 2 young people here. How will you do an abdominal thrust? Kwanza na nyinyi wawili. Kujeni. Na watu wawili hapa, some 2 ladies hapa, and you and come supposed to be the one who come with yes. I want to see how you are going to do it. Bila kubembeleza for an adult. Hata hana nguvu ya kusema hiyo polepole. Si ndio? Atakuwa umestuka because this is for learning purposes. Wakati wa real emergency it happens so fast. Sawa. I won't even think. Sasa hiyo amejishika ananyonga, ni mimi kukuja na kuweka na atakuwa ameitoa. Si ndio? So unafanya hivyo, atatoa, atabika, then atakupata relief. Si ndio? So wakati akapata relief, then unaweza kumweka mahali apumzike, then you call for help. Si ndio? Kama ni very severe. Are we together? Now, I'm going to demonstrate kwa mtoto wetu sasa. Now, this is our last one. So the mother was breastfeeding, si ndio? Mtoto aanze kunyo, utamuumiza. So you do it 5 times and you check, okay? So mtoto usimfanyie hivi. Utamu that mtoto
Okay.
open and then you hit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sawa. Now you have tried that and you have not succeeded. Imekata. Ada imekata, mtoto imekata. What will you do? Ukiwa kwa nyumba. What do you do? Just do a CPR kwa huyo mtoto in that position na finger. Hapa. Sawa. Hapa. Whatever we were doing for an adult for CPR, hapo chini, do it now na mkono kwa mtoto. The essence kwa adult, kama ilikuwa ni kitu kidogo, it will move to the lung. Yezi enda kwa lung zote, itaenda kwa moja, si ndio? Atapumua na hiyo ingine, even to adult. So akifika hapo, help us come, atakuja hospitali, tutafanya surgery kidogo, tunatoa hiyo, alafu maisha inaendelea. Sawa. So those are the basic things that you need to know what to do, especially when you are alone in the house. If you panic, you lose that person. So don't panic, don't feel that you are going to harm him or harm her. Wewe, you are going to save life. Haya, demonstration hapa. Up thrust. 2 of you, come. I want to see how you are doing. Inashika.
The right hand vegan.
So when you spare, when you laugh, you will lose that person. Be serious, wamekuja, wekelea, pinya, itatoka. Wacha tabiki hapo, itapanguzwa. Sawa. Haya, nataka demonstration moja ya cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Ile nilikuwa nafanya hapo. Nani atasaidia watu wapande? Chate kuja. Come and show them how to do a CPR kwa huyu mtu. And a scene of emergency, somebody has just fallen, you have come and the area is safe. Let's see. Area is safe. You stimulate the person, then I want you to be, first of all, you need to be stable. Unajua huwezi kufanya hivyo ukiwa umekaa hivyo, you have to be stable. Applicant ako mgonjwa, ako on a firm ground, si ndio? Lakini pia wewe mzuri, accordingly, weka stable. Mkono. Straight. You can see how? Yeah? Oh, sawa. Kwa stool. Okay, so kwa stool huwezi fanya hivi. So mkono inakuwa firm, unakuwa perpendicular na mweka hapa kwa chest. Sasa kwa sternum, kwa lugha ya wale wamesoma kidogo. Si kufanya hivi, ni mkono tu ndio ina move kwa chest. Sawa. So fanya hivi. Sasa, let me see how you are doing. I wanted you to close like okay, somebody has fallen and you're moving close. The whole procedure. From identifying sure you are stable. Mimi naona uko mbali yani. Call for help, unakaa perpendicular kidogo, hii mkono sitaki kukunjana. So you do it. One Chadwick, one umoja, you count a syllable of 3 letter words, ndio? One umoja, two umoja, three umoja, four. So that you don't do it like, okay? So can you see, let me count a count of 30. 1, 3, 4, 5, okay? So that is how it's supposed to be done, okay? So when you are doing it, because of time, I'll stop there. I want to ask just one question. Just one question, and then I'm done. Mwenye amepata nitampatia zawadi. You know, my wife anapenda kupeana zawadi.
Hi, my name is James, and today we're going to be talking about the use of an automated external defibrillator, or an AED. They are a key part of delivering both basic and advanced life support. When you have your defibrillator, inside there will be the defibrillator itself and some pads and a foil packet. When you open the foil packet, there'll be a lead for 2 pads which will demonstrate where they should be placed on the chest. Firstly, turn the defibrillator on.
Apply pad to patient's bare chest.
Then place the pads in these positions, here and here.
Plug in pad connector next to flashing light.
Then connect the pads to the defibrillator.
Analyzing heart rhythm. Do not touch the patient.
Then you need to follow the instructions of the defibrillator as it analyzes the rhythm and will tell you whether a shock is advised or not.
Shock advised. Charging.
If a shock is advised, wait until the defibrillator has finished charging.
Stay clear of patient. Deliver shock now.
And then press the flashing button.
Shock delivered.
Shock delivered.
Begin CPR.
After you've delivered the shock, you'll need to continue CPR.
So thank you so much. We will stop there. I will allow Elder Clarence to continue. Kama kuna swali tutajibu baada tukimaliza. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. Wangapi wananisaidia kukaribisha Elder Clarence? Elder, karibu.
Najua tunashangaa hii tutaitumia wapi? You see, where is Chadwick? Chadwick, tunataka aliniambia story of how important this is. I hope you don't mind sharing just 30 seconds about
Okay, in March, ile time Corona was declared, the same day we moved to Race Course. One evening, my wife and the family was having dinner. Xander, the young boy who usually ran around, choked. And actually what was being done here is what saved him. He was tulimpeleka hospitali, but tuliambiwa tunge delay for even a second, tungempoteza. So
So is it life-saving or not life-saving? And there are many others here, I know. Maybe you did not know, he had that experience. And many others who have experienced, because when something gets stuck in the airways, it is a life-threatening situation. Maybe 2 things, I think kind of warnings. Do not perform those 2 procedures on a normal person. I think hiyo ni kweli. Usifanye CPR kwa mtu ambaye damu inazunguka na anapumua. You will kill that person. Am I correct? Don't do the Heimlich, no, you need the simple word. Hiyo alifanya. Usifanye kwa mtu ambaye is not in an emergency. Atatoa kila kitu kwa tumbo ila alikula. Atatoa. Unless it's an emergency. Because when something gets stuck in the airway, kuna kitu hapa inaitwa diaphragm, right? Your diaphragm inakaa curved. So when you stress it, it pushes all the contents above it, the stomach, the lungs, inaisukuma juu. So when the lungs are shocked upwards, inasukuma hewa, inatoa whatever is. I remember when tulikuwa tunafunzwa, we were shown a photograph, mtoto mdogo, actually an autopsy image of a groundnut. Unajua njugu stuck in the airway of a small child. You know, autopsy, meaning was the child alive or dead? That's how serious it was. Anyway, asante sana. That's a life saving. That's what I was saying, kama kuna mtu napenda na ako nje ufanya nini? Mwambie ingie. Now, our time is up. I had planned to speak for 8 hours. But I'll reduce them greatly. I think I just have a few minutes. Now, what I'm going to speak about, in addition to what my brother said, is Adventist health. Just remind us of our Adventist health. And at the end, I'll also call someone to give a small testimony. Adventist health. It is a treasure ambao tuko nayo. Mchana kuna, the one who told the children's story, alisoma something in Daniel. Na ni kama tu alijua whatever I'm going to speak about. Kuna kitabu inaitwa Ministry of Healing, I think, page 29. Inasema that regard your health as seriously as your character. The same way you are guarding your character is the same way that you should guard your health. Tunajaribu kutengeneza karakta yetu, lakini afya tunaichukua hivi hivi. Okay? So we are told that your health is your wealth. Kiswahili, nani alisema ile afya yangu, mtaji wangu. Yeah. So that is an investment. Wakati unasema, pia kuna msemo inasema kuwa akili ni nini? Akili ni mali. Kuna kitu inasema hivyo. So kuna vitu ambavyo are equated to wealth. Because if you don't take care of your health, you will spend your wealth taking care of your health. Hiyo ni kama imepita wengi, ni kama wawili tu ndo ameshika. Nastarudia. Now, my work here, because of time, I'll summarize greatly, sana. Hii nataka hata seminar, but I'll summarize. Did you know that your brain, akili yetu, our brain, is 60% fat? And that is how, unajua wanasema my people perish for lack of knowledge. Now, knowledge, tawapatia kidogo tu. Now, our brain is 60% fat. Unajua fat? Fat. Na kama tu nyumba, like this building, if I say this building is 60% stone, inamaanisha tumetumia mawe kufanya nini? Kujenga nyumba, sivyo? So when I say our brain is 60% fat, inamaanisha ili kujenga ubongo yako, what do you need? You need fat, si ndio? It is logical, hata mtu amejibu bila, it doesn't require rocket science. But what do we do? What do we do? Mtoto wakati amezaliwa, wana recommend they take breast milk. Breast milk is, the high percentage is fat. So that the brain develops kwa hawa watoto wadogo, fastest wakiwa wadogo. Itafika age, brain development slows down. Actually, it starts to degenerate depending on how we obtain our nutrition. Kwa hivyo niulize, acha tu a random question. What are the source of fats ambao tunakula? I'm just doing a summary, standard details. What are you come from? I think it is in plenty. Yes. Nuts. Hata amenitangulia. Anyone else atasema? Because we eat avocado. Now, yes? Butter? Butter, cream. In short, ni milk. Milk. And remind me to say something about milk. Nisahau kabla nimalize. Now, I'll ask the second question. Wale ambao tunajua ujenzi kidogo. How many types of stones do we have? Tuko na hii stone, kuna iron sheets, sivyo? It is still a house. But what's the difference? The quality of the house. Ndio maana unasikia kuna house, sivyo? Now let's come to the brain. Sijui kama kuna semi-permanent brain na permanent brain. Depending. Akili yako. It is what it will form, the brain. Now, let me give you examples of fat. There are very different types of fat. I'll start with fish, ambayo pastor amesema. Now fish has a good source of fat, ambayo ni tunajua omega oils. Now the challenge with the fish we have actually, wakati dunia ilikuwa safi kidogo, sasa ni chafu kidogo. Watoto wadogo walikuwa wanatengenezewa omena, wanapatiwa samaki na finywa wanapatiwa. But now our lakes and seas are polluted. So in addition to the omega you are giving the child, unampatia mercury na vitu vingine ambavyo which are not good, like metals kama aluminium. Unajua aluminium? Aluminium inatengeneza nini yenye tunajua sana? Sufuria. Na najua nikienda kwa kila nyumba sitakosa nini? Na hiyo aluminium is not good for the brain because it causes neurodegeneration with time, over time. Ukipika na hiyo over many years, in affect the neurodegeneration. Anyway, but the point is not there. So as much as fish and kwa kizungu wanaita sardines ama omena has those oils, they could not be the best source. So what does God want us to do? Kwa sababu tunajiuliza sasa tutatoa wapi omega oils. Now, God, I was speaking to someone today, nasema that nature is the best medicine. Nature is the best medicine. And God was very wise na akatuwekea kila kitu. Kwa mfano, one of the best sources of omega oils from plants. Sijui kama mnasikia kitu imeitwa flax seed. Mnasikia kitu kama hiyo? Yes. Hiyo iko na hiyo omega. Let me draw something if you don't mind. I'm still on the brain, omega. I'll draw zigzag. Sijui kama kuna wale waoni. Okay? So hiyo omega oil inakaa kama zigzag. Na why it is called 3 is because 1, 2, 3. There is what we call a double bond in its structure. I'll explain. Msijali, hii si science ngumu sana, hii ni rahisi ndio muelewe. Now, means it takes more space. I'm just simplifying it. So inamaanisha mafuta ya hiyo aina. So oil ya hiyo Subaru na ile yangu is not the same because of its fineness. So the kind of oil that feeds the brain, that the brain wants, iko na hizo double bonds. Okay? So nimepewa flaxseed. Also avocado has very good source of oils for the brain, food for the brain. Just an example. Na hizo ndo vitu they should be eating when they were small. Chia seeds. Ever heard of that thing? Up on your fats. That is food for the brain. Ever heard of walnuts? Walnut, it's a nut. Ile ambaye alisema, ni kama unaijua, alisema. That is what feeds the brain. Hiyo ndio building blocks for the brain, 60% of the brain. So you decide. You are the one to decide. Either ujenge semi-permanent ama permanent. So these double bonds, they are sensitive to some things. For example, temperature and light. So kwa mfano flax seeds, ukizitumia, you do not just use randomly. Naona kuna wengine wanazisaga, alafu unauziwa powder, unaambiwa hii powder ni flax seed powder. Don't buy that thing. Why? Because these oils are sensitive to light and heat or temperature. So ukisaga, it exposes those oils na inaziharibu. It changes the forms. It is still not bad. It will not kill you, but it will not build you. Hii imepita hivi ama imepita hivi. Be very careful. Kitu isikupite as I'm looking at my time. So what am I simply saying? Let me just summarize by saying this. God designed that we enjoy good health. That is 3 John 1 something. 3 John 1, I think 2 or something. Itanisaidia. That we enjoy good health. You can be looking at that verse. As we enjoy also spirituality. Now, number 2. Now, my second point. Ni kwa topic of this discussion, nilikuwa nimesema the seen and the unseen. So I'll start with the unseen and then I talk about the seen alafu nimalize. Sio tutakuwa tuko sawa? What I mean is this. You know, I usually teach, so utanisamee na andika sana. So I have this, oh, sorry, saidia here. Thank you. Look at my time, I have less than 10 minutes. So you have the seen and the unseen. Okay. So we want to understand the unseen, okay, and nurture or reinforce the seen. Love to malize. What I mean by the unseen, if you take time to study nature, you hautaisema ati Mungu hayuko. Anyone who's has understood the science of nature has seen God's hand in nature. So where does disease start from? Wacha nianze na hii. We have the cell. Now, in science, kuna kitu tunaita central dogma. Forgive me, I'll use a few technical terms, alafu si mingi sana, kidogo tu. Central dogma. I know, where is pastor? Pastor knows what dogma is. Yani ni kama kanuni, niseme kanuni. I think I'm right, eh? So in religion you have dogma, but in science you have dogma. Central dogma. God designed things to happen in this manner. So we have, in the cell we have the DNA. I'm explaining where the disease starts. So nisikupoteze hapa, nikikupoteza hapa ile ingine it will not make sense. So I'll take only 3 minutes. Kuna DNA. DNA is a deoxyribonucleic acid ambayo imeweka information about you. Kwa wale ambao, is that my, something is making noise. It's distracting us. I don't know. Communication, you switch something. Oh, thank you. So, DNA, ili mwelewe zaidi, wakati umeenda kwa kukula chakula in a restaurant, you're going to a restaurant to take meal. Unapatiwa nini? Oh, si kwa kibanda, kwa hoteli mzuri. Kibanda upatiwi. All options are there. The good and nisikupoteze, don't get lost. Hata wale online, please don't get lost. Ukipotea hapa umepotea milele. So the good and the bad. So this DNA flows to something called RNA. Ribonucleic acid. Don't worry about the long name. Hii tu ni kuona mwelewe. What is the RNA? Umeletewa menu. Hiyo menu inakuja peke yake, inaletwa na nani? Waiter. Kama mnaenda hizi hoteli na mnasema hamna pesa ya Mount Elgon. Anyway, you have the money to go to restaurants. So the waiter brings the menu. Alafu wewe unachagua depending on what you need. Isikupoteze. So tumesema tuko na menu. Alafu waiter amekuja, anauliza unataka nini? Utakula nini? Kuna wengine ukiangalia menu wanaanzia huku wakikuja huku. Kuna wale wameelewa na kuna wale wanaanzia tu huku wakienda huku. If you know. Sawa. Also depending on where you start, whether on the unaanzia huku kikuja huku ama huku ukienda huku, you will decide what I'm going to eat, right? Alafu waiter ataenda mahali. Ataenda wapi? Jikoni. Kuna chef ambaye atatengeneza chakula. Hiyo chakula itakuja kwa meza. And it is called protein. End of lesson. Ilikuwa ngumu sana. Now let me help you. If you understand this today, then I think you'll be utakuwa mbele sana. So God designed that there is a blueprint, kuna menu, our menu, telling us how tall will you be, how dark are your eyes, what is the color of your hair, what is the strength of your nails, okay? What is the color of your skin, the enzymes ambazo utatoa za digestion, ziko aje, how will your liver perform, what is your metabolism. Umesikia watu wanasema, mimi nakula lakini sifanyi nini? Anyway, so all that information is here, but it is only what you need. Kuna mtu ashaenda kwa hoteli akanunua kila kitu kwa menu? Hebu nione. Hakuna, sivyo? That is how God designed it. Kuna all the good and the bad. So depending on how you treat your body, either the good or the bad will express itself. Na hiyo ndio tunaita kwa lugha ngumu what we call gene expression. Hiyo msijali, hiyo si lazima mshike. Now gene expression, as I finish this tough lesson and go to my last bit, is ni nini inachukuliwa kwa menu, inatolewa, inakuwa protein. Okay? And the proteins are very important in our bodies. It is what tells us the colors that we see, the hair, how do I speak, reproduction, mood, okay, metabolism. Yani, proteins are very important. That's a lesson for another day, but they're very important. So how they are expressed, jinsi ambavyo inatolewa, vile menu inakuwa interpreted, depends on your, wacha niandike in red, kwa sababu ni muhimu sana. It depends on your sika kuna watu wameona hiyo. It depends on your environment. Which brings me to the seen. Sijachukua muda kwa the unseen because it's a lot of science. But nadhani mmeshika kitu. Sivyo? Now, don't live here. On this cell, kuna kitu hapa, iko hapa juu. Inakaa kama fork. Inaitwa cell receptor. Now, note that kuna watu wanaandika notes, I like that. So cell receptor, shikilia hiyo. So tumemaliza the unseen. Now let's come to the seen. Environment. How do we get sick? The inspired pen, Ellen White, advises that wakati wa siku za mwisho zinavyokaribia, we leave the urban areas and go to the country. That prophecy or that message is so timely, but sometimes I sit nasema, should I really spend much time in the urban area? I know that's a topic Elojala is here, ako wapi? Ako pale. He's passionate about, and Elder Mohoro, they are very passionate about. Na wamekaa pamoja. Sababu mshalimiwa shiriki. Yeah, they're very passionate about that, leaving the cities. But again, in the last day events, tunaambiwa, do not do it haphazardly. Usitoke mjini haphazardly. Uende tu, alafu uende kusafa huko. God does not want us to suffer. It's very plain. Now, our environment. Our environment affects how our cell works. Our environment dictates what comes from the menu. Okay? Yeah. Shikilia hiyo. Now, what is our environment? A study was done some time back. I'll quote two studies. One, identical twins walizaliwa, na moja akapelekwa the temperate climate, huko baridi Europe, na mwingine akabaki in the tropical region. Identical what? Twins. Now, ukijua identical twins, they have the same what? Genetic makeup or genes. They have the same set of genes. But those two turned out to be very different. They were female. You go look at it, ziko, they are there. The information uzuri iko huko. They were female. Now wote walikuwa different, but they're identical twins. So what was the difference? Environment. So inamaanisha, you can be seated here, lakini kila mtu ako na magonjwa aina tofauti tofauti depending on the environment. Another study was done on ni watoto, infants, ile tumeambiwa infants ambao wamezaliwa. The parents had obesity, walikuwa na obesity. So the study was trying to see whether obesity is triggered from the stomach and kwa tumbo, how the contents are. So they transplanted bacteria. They took the feces ya mmoja ambaye hakuwa na obesity, wakaekea yule ambaye wazazi wake walikuwa nayo. And it worked. Because as a child grew, they did not develop obesity. Is that witchcraft or science? Sawa sawa. So the environment, wacha nianze. Because of time, I'll be very quick. I'll list a few things which you are exposed to, common things ambazo tuko exposed to. Fertilizer. Utasema mimi si nini? Mimi si mkulima. So where do I get fertilizer? Now fertilizer ambazo zilitumika kitambo, fertilizer, it's called manure, organic farming. Ilikuwa sawa because you get them animal inatoa ina. But now the current fertilizers are not very good, sadly. Kwa sababu they say there is food insecurity. So produce food in large amounts. Alafu wanakupatia eka hii fertilizer, hii na hii. So this soil does not have this and this and that. What they do not tell you, that some components of the fertilizer mimic inamaanisha, who can translate that? Inaiga some hormones in our body. They are called endocrine disruptors in that other language. Inamaanisha, kazi ambayo your hormone is supposed to do, that component of the fertilizer goes and does. How does it do it? It has the same chemical structure as the hormone. Inakuja, inashika hapa. So if this cell was supposed to produce estrogen, unajua estrogen? Estrogen is a sex hormone ambayo it has the good, the bad. Unakumbuka the good and the bad, siko hapa ndani. So estrogen is good, but again, it's bad. Because inajulikana, it triggers a very big percentage of breast cancers in women. And that is why men don't develop men have breasts, but they don't develop breast cancer a lot. Why? Because you have low levels of estrogen and high levels of testosterone. So if you get kitu ambayo iko karibu kufanana na estrogen, what does it do? It overstimulates what estrogen is supposed to do. So unapata vyakula ambavyo vimewekwa dawa ya ukulima, fertilizer, and then you consume. They do the work that estrogen is supposed to do, but in higher amounts. So in small boys, it makes them to be more feminine. Boys. Feminine ni female, masculine ni. So unapata mtoto mdogo, unauliza, huyu ni mvulana msichana. It takes you minutes before ujue, huyu ni, sasa unamuita, nani, wakiangalia hivi, unaona, yenyewe ni mvulana. It starts when they are small. How? I'll give an example, because my time is short. One time, I had some work doing at Isipe, working on tomatoes. There were some pests which were destroying tomatoes, and I've told this story to many people. And what we discovered ni kuwa dawa ambazo wananyunyizia, dawa ambazo walikuwa natumia, initially, wakati mvua inanyesha, it washes away hiyo dawa. So wanaweka ingine. Mvua ikinyesha inaosha. So they discovered a magic dawa ambazo zinaitwa acaricides. Acaricides kwa wale ambao wameshashikanisha, these are madawa ambayo inatumika kutoa ticks from cows. Kutoka cattle dip inatumika. Now the thing about acaricide is that they can stick to the ngozi, so hata mvua ikinyesha hazioshwi, they stick there, but now they stick until you buy them na unazipeleka jikoni. Okay? This is an example of those. So these fertilizers and pesticides, number 2, are the environment. Now what do? Zinakuja kwa cell, they give wrong instructions to the DNA, and then wrong instructions inakuja, ulitisha ugali kutoka jikoni, kitu ingine inakuja. Okay? Now, plastics. Let me use BPA. I'm just using randomly. Plastics. Everywhere around you, including next to you, there's a plastic something. Hata any plastic. I'm holding plastic. Now, there's a component of plastic called bisphenol A, BPA. Ambayo pia is an endocrine disruptor. Where is it? Ikishika inakuwa kama hormone, female hormone, okay? And then inaleta madhara ambayo haifai kuwa hapo. Okay? Now, it is found in food plastics ambazo unawekea chakula ndani, ambao unaweka vitu ndani, those plastics, anything that is flexible. It is called a plasticizer, anything that is flexible. Another one, which is very common, aflatoxin. As I said, I'm just using, there are so many, I'm just using as much as my time will allow. Aflatoxin. Now, aflatoxin, meisikia kwa news saa zingine. I have a colleague where I work, the next lab, inafanya research on aflatoxins. And friends, let me tell you the truth. The food that we eat is very dangerous sometimes. 2 examples. Although we do not take alcohol, but I'll quote, because wale wanakunywa wako hapa. My colleague is a professor of biochemistry. He was doing work. By then, there was this mutudho. Mnakumbuka mutudho? Mutudho. It was something to do with drugs and something. So, akasema, Prof, kuja unisaidie kuangalia hii alcohol watu wanakunywa. What are the level of aflatoxins? In summary, I think he stopped drinking if he was, because whatever report he got was alarming enough to say, I don't want to die early, and not only early, but a painful death. Now, unaweza jiuliza hii aflatoxin ni nini? In summary, it is a fungus, ambayo inamea on cereals, grains, and nuts. If they are not stored properly, they accumulate moisture, alafu the spores start growing there. As they grow, they produce metabolites or byproducts which are toxic to the body. The second example, apart from alcohol, is peanut. Najua in over 50% of Adventist home, kuna peanut what? Butter. Msiende kutupa, I'm just saying. The level of aflatoxin depends on how the grains are handled during drying and processing. If you dry them well enough, but ikiwa, when you don't dry them well enough, the aflatoxins grow. The fungi produce the toxin, alafu unakula. So the question is, what do they do to your body? The first culprit is your liver. Now, the unfortunate or fortunate thing about the liver, Mungu alitutengeneza in that the liver can take a lot of damage before it gives way. So, utakula 10 years, 15 years, hakuna shida. But the moment the liver cancer starts to develop, there's no turning back. I think for those who know the statistics, wanajua, it is rising, the liver cancer. And it is triggered by this toxin. Very common. Not only nuts, because of interest, let me say. I work in Joro, where the major commercial activity is sawmills, kukata miti, na kupanda ngano, na grains. So I see how they dry the foods, and I see how they handle them. Wakati wanapanda wheat, najua wheat, kila mtu anakula, hata lunch mekula chapo na mandazi. When they grow these things, halafu zile ambazo si mzuri, zile ambazo zinakaa, they are not very well done. They are given to as animal feed. And it is what triggered, recently you saw announcement, the government ilisema, if you are not an expert, do not prepare animal feed. Muliona hiyo? Did you see that, anyone? Why? Because people are not handling this animal feed properly, among other reasons. Wanapatia ng'ombe ile ambayo iko na aflatoxin. Now, the unfortunate thing about these toxins, and God is very wise. I always say this, I always repeat this. Mungu alijua. These toxins are not supposed to be in our bodies. So ikiingia, the body tries to remove it as fast as possible. So ng'ombe akikula hiyo feed ambayo haijakaushwa vizuri na iko na hivi vitu, the body transforms this toxin to another form. Inaingia kwa maziwa, inaingia kwa nyama. It's called, in technical terms, you'll go and find AFM1 and AFM2. Kuna ya nyama na kuna ya maziwa. Kuna mtu alisema maziwa somewhere. I'll advise you to stop taking milk if you can. Now, hiyo maziwa inaingia kwa meza yetu. We do what? We eat. Inaingia kwa liver, you know what happens. The meat also does the same. You know what happens. Now, nitaachia hapa. Let me finish. Kama uko na swali, tafadhali write it down, pass it to the front. I think you will receive if you have any question. Now, what should we do? Daniel chapter 1 verse 17. Ningependa mtu anisomee ndio tumalizie nayo. Daniel chapter 1 verse 17. Ilisomwa na during the children's story time. Let me read. I think kama kuna mtu amepata atusomee. Okay, let me read. Okay. It says, as for these 4 children, this is a story of Daniel. Walienda, mulisikia children's story asubuhi. Walienda wakaambiwa mtaandaliwa nyama na vyakula ambavyo vimeombewa na miungu, wakakataa. And the purpose that they will not defile themselves. They were given pulses and water to take. And then verse 17 it says, as for these 4 children, God gave, amen? Hata nisipomaliza kusoma, yani, once you purpose in your heart that this is what I want to do, God will do what? He will give. But since we've not purposed, God is not a dictator. You make a decision. He shows you, but you make the decision. So God gave them no knowledge, and He gave them skill. Hizo vitu hata mimi nikipatia hizo mbili peke yake tu, mimi nimetosheka. Skill in all learning and wisdom. Unajua angeachia learning ningekuwa na wasiwasi. Because knowledge without wisdom, tunaambiwa is foolishness. Akampatia knowledge and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Wakati tunaambiwa prophecy hapa, aingie huko, inafanya nini? Why? Because there's something in our bodies we are not doing. Let me clarify something in this chapter. Kuna word hapa imetumika. Inaitwa pulses. Mbona pulses mahali? Do you know what a pulse is? Kuna version imetumia pulses. Am I right? In Daniel 1, pulses. Do you know what a pulse is? So it means you do not know what Daniel took all this long. Walikula nini those 10 days. Pulses, in other language, are legumes. Now, usually in our estates, in our shops, in our neighborhood, kuna duka inaitwa cereals shop. Alafu kingia kwa cereals shop, unapata wanauza nini? Maharagwe, dengu, na nini mchele. Are those cereals? Wacha niwapatie knowledge kidogo. Now, there's a difference between Daniel took pulses, legumes. Examples of legumes, so that you don't confuse, are lentils, beans, cowpeas. Those are legumes. Wana pastor anacheka. Kamande ile nyatutakangi. And by the way, let me tell you, kamande is one of the super foods we have around. Come on, if you are not aware. If nimewambia sina muda, this is something that can take a lot of, a whole seminar. Sasa Daniel walikula hizo vitu, walikula kamande, by the way, 10 days. Wewe unaweza kula hata siku mbili, unakonje? 10 days. And to make it worse, aliteremsha na maji. Wewe unaiteremsha na chapo. Sometimes I wonder. Anyway, so cereals are grasses that contain grain. Hizo ndo cereals. Example is rice. Sasa enda ambie mwenye duka abadilishe, andike legumes shop, cereals and legumes. Why am I differentiating this? Unajua ni vile tu muda hakuna, but why am I differentiating this? Sometimes we take the Bible for granted. Wakati Mungu anasema aliwapatia knowledge and wisdom after deciding to take these things for 10 days. You know, this is medicine, if you don't know. Ni muda tu sina. This is medicine. Haya. What should we do? It is not all doom and gloom. New Start, vile tuliambiwa na New Start, our director talked about New Start is what we should do. But something about New Start. I'll give you 5 things. Number 1. Blackboard yangu imejaa. Sikufikiri nitajaza. Acha tu nifute hii. Niandike 5 things. Alafu we can take questions and pray. Okay. Number 1. Number 1 is, kwa wale hawana macho vizuri, it's called fasting. I'll explain. Number 2. Exercise. Number 3. Rest. In brackets, I'll write sleep. Taelezea tu. Number 4. Sunlight. Okay, if you noticed, they are all from New Start. It's only that I'm giving you the 5 ambazo zita nizaman sana for this talk. Number 5 is water. Why have I chosen these 5? Is there any that costs money here? Now, usiseme water. Because I can ask you, when was the last time you bought water? Is there any that costs money here? They are all free. Now, let me tell you another secret. All these are medicine. Easy. It is in dawa. Is in dawa. If someone I was looking for, ni kama hayuko hapa. Sijui kama umesikia kitu inaitwa H. pylori. Ever heard of things like those? Let me tell you, if there is a scam in this world. Anyway, sitasema sana. Dawa yake iko hapa tu, haiko mahali kwingine. Iko hapa tu. And you know, as a scientist, there are some things I cannot claim if they are not factual. So if you need details, I can give you. But let me explain this briefly in the next few minutes. There are questions coming. If there are none, thank God. If they are, we'll benefit kidogo. Maybe I'll only allow one hand. Now, fasting. Fasting is calorie restriction, in other words. It has spiritual benefit if it's in the Bible. It has physical benefits, medicinal benefits. There are very many types of fasting. The general broad categories is extended fasting, you're in extended fasting, and what you call intermittent or short fasting. So extended fasting should never go beyond 72 hours, and I'll explain. Ile ya shakahola achana nayo. That is suicide, it's not fasting. Intermittent fasting or short-term fasting is when you want to achieve a specific goal kwa muda fulani alafu wacha. So what are the benefits? If you restrict your diet for 6 to 10 hours, wacha nianzie hapo, I'll gauge to 72 hours. 72 hours ni siku ngapi? Quick math. 3 days. Calorie restriction, 3 days. And if you go to the sanitariums in Loma Linda, in Australia, even in Kenya, they do this a lot. Na inasaidia watu sana. So within 6 to 10 hours, what's happening to our body? The body is using all the food that you've taken. Unajua how many times you eat in a day? Naamka asubuhi, unachangamkia nini kwanza? Kwanza appetizer, unaanza kuoma. Nasema acha niweke maji ya ndimu. Nifungue tumbo, unaanza maji ya ndimu. Alafu ukiweka maji ya uji hapo kando na ukitengeneza hapo mayai na ugali na mkate. Ukimaliza chai, mkate, mayai, mbio naenda job. By the time saa 3 saa 4 nafika umefika job, unafanya nini? na chai. Hiyo ni saa 4, haijafika hata lunch time. Alafu kuna sweets ziko kwa bakuli, unakula tu ukiendelea kufanya kazi. Saa 7 ikifika unasema twende kwa twende lunch. Hey, ofisi inabaki empty, hakuna mtu anabaki. Twende lunch. Unakalia mchele na samaki, na mboga, na soda, na hebu sasa kwa Coca-Cola. Na hiyo ni saa 7, hata haijafika hata jua haijatua. Alafu ukitoka ofisi unapitia, unasema kwanza wacha twende tufanye kazi. Unafanya kazi, alafu before saa 10 nini inafanyika? 4 o'clock tea. How many meals are those, by the way, so far? Hata mmeogopa kucount because you know it is shocking. Kabla ufike saa 10 unakunywa chai, unamaliza 5 imefika, unaenda kwa double M kupanda basi. Kabla ufike kwa double M kuna mahindi iko hapo ya kuchomwa na ile nyingine inaitwa nini? Ile yenye inapitishanga hivi kwa frying pan ile. Alafu inakunjwa mara 2 hiyo. Unabeba ukiingia kwa gari, alafu unakaa. Alafu naomba tu jam ikuwe refu so that nimalize yenye nimeshika kabla nichukue nyingine. Ukishuka gari tu hivi. Na watu wanakwanga wajanja. I know food vendors are very smart. They put their business near the stage. So ukishuka tu hivi unapatana na smoky pasua hapo. Na sauce na those are 8 meals. Hata jua haijatua. So by the time you are going to sleep, if your stomach could speak, sijui itatumia lugha gani ku capture the torment that taking it through. So between 6 to 10 hours, what happens? The body utilizes ile chakula ambayo umeipatia from the stomach. Okay? And there are not very many food groups. We have carbohydrates, we have proteins, we have what else? Fats, and then vitamins. Okay? Sasa, the carbohydrates are broken down to glucose, inachukuliwa. Proteins, amino acids, inachukuliwa. So that's the first 6 to 10 hours without food, whatever you've taken. And then in the next 10 hours and above to around 6 to 10 hours. So between 10 hours and around 16 hours, before 12 hours, now your body starts to utilize glycogen. Glycogen is a form of storage kwa mwili yako. Wakati unakula chakula, kuna ile inatumika immediately. Sana sugars inaingia kwa cell. Kuna ile inawekwa, inakuwa stored in the liver and in the muscle. So wakati hujakula chakula for 16 hours, the body starts utilizing glycogen. Okay? And by 24 hours, something magical starts to happen. 16 hours imeanza kutumia glycogen. I wish I had time. Something magical happens. And this is where now, upon your afya iko. The body selectively, now I keep saying God is a miraculous God, selectively targets fat storage and then leaves proteins. Amen? Ni vile tu sina time. That's a miracle to me. Kwa sababu we are made up of muscle, si ndio? Alafu fat ni ile inaonekana tu, umeongeza kilo, umetoka nyumbani, unakaa around. Hiyo ni fat. Sasa, that is what the body starts to target. At how many hours? 24. Now, beyond that, another magical thing starts to happen. The body starts to clean itself. What is cleaning? Kufanya cleaning nyumbani, so unatoa uchafu nje. So inaanza kutoa microorganisms, dead cells, proteins ambazo they are not very well formed, like in the brain, by the way. Brain inakuwa na uchafu mingi sana. Anyway, so inafagia. And by 72 hours, your body is sparkling clean. Najua wengi watafika hapo. If you can't, don't bother. Just leave it. Now, ukipitisha hapo, the reverse starts to happen. The body now starts to look for energy from the muscle or protein. Unaanza sasa kuisha, like your muscle starts wasting. Why am I giving you that example? Know what works for you. Usifuate mtu. there's a speaker I listen to. She usually says that you are your own doctor. Wewe ndo unajua unaumwa wapi na ni nini ilianzisha. Exercise. Anyway, let me not talk about this. Let me talk about maybe, okay, because of time. Kuna swali, kama kuna, I'll just finish. Wale wataalamu ndio wameinua mkono, so I'm in trouble. Sawa, I'll give 1, 2, 3, alafu tamalizia hapo. Maybe 4, alafu I'll finish there. So you'll just ask all the question and then I'll answer them at once. Together we are
Yes.
wale ndio waliinua mkono kwanza, alafu wewe ndio watatu, number 4. Let me finish.
Thank you very much. Na wasalimu wa mjambo. Yes, ni swali and I need more explanation from you. First of all, thank you very much for your teaching. If only we could do like this, then our church, all our church members could be much more informed. And that is what we want. Even Ellen G. White anashauri hivyo, ya kwamba watu ambao wako nurse, doctors could only use the way that you have explained to us, then kanisa ingekuwa mbele sana kuelewa mambo ya afya, na zaidi ya yote jina la Mungu lingekuwa linatukuzwa sana. Na tunashukuru sana kwa sababu vile umeexplain hapo hujaweka science mingi sana, at least umelete watu wa Mungu ndani ya kanisa, na which is very important. Now, one thing probably I would wish you explain further is about milk. Today's world, ama hii dunia tunaishi, saa hii kuna maziwa inaitwa long life milk. Watu wananunua in packet, wanaweka kwa nyumba, wanaitumia for 2 months, 3 months. Do we get any value of the same? Thank you.
Asante, next.
Thank you so much, Daktari. God bless you richly. With your permission granted, let me say this. If there is a church that is well informed, is the Seventh-day Adventist. This is where there is Kuku Marwaj. The foundation knowledge. Let me tell you for free, Elder, Pastor Elder, don't worry, because we have suggested in the School of Theology, all pastors must be trained on nutrition, and all of them must do first aid. And it was already adopted, and that was my suggestion to the Vice Chancellor, and already the curriculum is being drawn. Don't worry, the church will be informed, because that is what we want it to be. Now, the question I'm asking is on the cell receptor. Can you please explain to this part why there are children whose cell receptors are good in terms of, and what is the you have said the cell receptor in a way. Does it mean kama mtoto is the problem with the cell receptor, or what is it? Maybe explain so that walimu wasipigwe mawe kama teacher nani. Kwa nini mtoto wa perform? Maybe there could be a problem either because of the food, how the cell receptor work, so that the parent understands.
Yes, mimi swali yangu ndauliza kwa Kiswahili. Mwalimu, kuna kitu umefunza hapa kuhusiana na fertilizer na pesticide. Na kuna jambo ambayo tunaona katika kanisa, and especially katika maisha ya sasa, kuhusiana na vijana wetu. Utapata kwamba sahihi vijana wengi wanakataa kuoa wanawake, kisa na mahana wanapenda vijana wengine. Yaani kwa ufupi kwamba kuna mashoga na mamende wamekuwa sana kwa kipindi kirefu sana mpaka wakakuwa na chama. Na nauliza hivi, inaweza kuwa ni kwa sababu ya hizi fertilizer ndio zinaleta, kwa sababu umesema kwamba fertilizer zinafanya DNA, zina mimic hormones, na alafu zina stimulate kwamba sasa mwanaume anaanza kuwa na tabia kikike namna hii. Is it because of that factor ndio maana saa hizi kumejaa na mashoga na mamende, ama namna gani? Naomba nijue kutoka kwako.
Thank you very much. I have a question to you and maybe the other presenter. You talked about maybe something to do with fatty acids and saturated fatty acids. And you said that we should maybe consume food products that are rich in unsaturated fatty acids for brain development, and we mentioned examples of them. And you discouraged the saturated fatty acids. Yet, with the little knowledge I have, I know that maybe the body might require some amount of saturated fatty acids, maybe for downstream processing of cholesterol, or even for sex hormones, like the ones you mentioned. So, should we neglect the saturated fatty acids at all? Or should we consume maybe some amounts? And if we should consume, maybe you can tell us what types of food maybe we require for these saturated fatty acids, because the body might need them for some processes, like maybe making cell membranes and these other sex hormones like estrogen, androgen, and whatever. So may you please tell me that, because we might come out here with the notion that we should only consume food, we should neglect those saturated fatty acids as well, and it might affect our health in some way. So may you explain for us there, if at all we require them. Then, my friend, I had a question. I have a brother who is a drunkard, and nimejaribu sana, amekataa kuacha drunkardness. Na hofia siku moja anaweza akazimia hata kwa nyumba. It has happened severally. So, is there any way we can do first aid for a drunkard person mwenye saa ingine anakaa ni kana kwamba hata amekufa? Is there how we can help him? Kuna siku nilimpea maziwa na akajamu vile aliamka, mbona ulinipea maziwa? So is there a way we can, maybe anakaa tu mtu ako hapo, ama saa zingine ni kama anakaa kuconvulse hivi, kuna jinsi ambavyo unaweza msaidia?
Okay, asante. That was the last question. I know there are many, but tutaachie hapo because I see our time is already up. It's already 5. So I'll start with that question. Nikirudi hivi, alafu I'll allow my colleague to also answer the last one. Although I'll also give my opinion on that question. So I don't remember mentioning saturated and unsaturated. I just say, okay, I mentioned unsaturated, but I didn't talk about saturated. And I didn't say that one is good and one is bad. Even olive oil, which is, they say, the king of oils, contains saturated fatty acids, but in a small ratio. What I emphasize is that unsaturated fatty acids, or the ones, examples I give, are best for brain development, specific brain. I know what you're talking about cell membrane structure. Cholesterol is very important in developing your cell membrane. Actually, every single cell in your body contains a cholesterol molecule. Number 2, cholesterol is also very important in making your reproductive hormones. So, ukiona mtu anasema ati 0% cholesterol, healthy for your heart. A question mark. Cholesterol is good for you. Actually, you should be making sure you have enough cholesterol in your body. I won't emphasize further, but I think you got my emphasis. It was just an emphasis on brain development, okay? For follow-ups, we can one-on-one, but that's what is happening. Now, Pastor Gore, I think let me just refer. You also talked about, maybe I'll give my opinion before you answered, about addiction. Okay, alcohol is a stranger in the body, so it works by competing for resources, enzymes. So wakati mtu amekula alcohol intoxication, it's very difficult to undergo alcohol intoxication, very difficult, unless you take a lot of it. And that is why the difference between alcohol and Panadol, for example, they are metabolized differently. You can overdose on Panadol. Unaweza kunywa Panadol na iko overdose, si ndio? But it's very rare kukunywa pombe na iko overdose at quantities because our bodies metabolize differently. So probably whatever there's other issues underlying there, they need to consult a physician, ajue shida iko wapi, before it goes very far. Actually, let me tell you, friends, I call you friends because I want to help you. The worst form of addiction in the world right now is not even alcohol. Let me list the top 2. Number 1, sugar. Number 2, gluten products or wheat products, GMO wheat, ambao tunakunywa. Why do I say addiction? Why do we have, when you have a birthday, what do you make? Ukiwa na birthday, unaleta nini? Unakula keki, na keki iko na nini? Iko na hiyo wheat and sugar. Wheat, the wheat that we take now is not the one that Jesus took during the Last Supper. The one that we have now has been modified to be more pliable in making baking products. They have enhanced the expression, ile gene expression of gluten, the protein. So that one, it acts as a hormone in a, how can I put it? It's called, there's a word, nimesahau. But that gluten acts as a hormone, gluteomorphine, exactly, gluteomorphine. The word morphine, if kama mnaishika, it's an addictive drug, sindio? So it acts as an addictive drug. So the more you take, the more you want. Kuna watu anakula chapo 7 na 10. And you do not want to stop. Why? Because it stimulates the same centers which morphine does, so it's addictive. Same to sugar and the rest. I won't delve there. So addiction is a serious matter. I think your family member needs help. Pastor, you talked about fertilizer, pesticides. Reproductive health is very complex. You cannot explain it using a single approach. It's very complex. All the way from, do you know even your grandparents' health affects you as a person because of this? Ile menu. Nakumbuka ile menu. It's called epigenetics. The environment works on your genetics, even down generations. Even the Bible says, you know, a curse can go several generations, right? Iko hapa. Someone was an alcoholic. That effect runs down generations. Biologically, it is there. It is there. So reproductive health is very complex. The issue of same-sex marriage and preference is very complex, but it could be a contributing factor. Kwa mfano, another contributing factor is media. Media, ni vile sikuwa na muda, I could have explained to you. Both social media and mainstream media play a big role in people saying, mimi mwanaume mwenzangu au mwanamke mwenzangu. So it is not really about those environmental chemicals contribute. The media contribute. Do you know men, older men, 50 years ago, current men, sisi ambao tuko hapa, we have almost generally half the amount of testosterone which our forefathers, our grandfathers have. Because of the environment we live in, it just has everything, including sunlight. More sunlight means more testosterone, male hormones. Less sunlight, where do we live? We live either in the office, in the car, or in the house. But our grandfathers used to spend time, and our forefathers wakikuwa kwa shamba huko, sunlight. Because the nuclear, ile ambayo inatengeneza the sex hormones, is stimulated by sunlight. So there are many factors. You cannot peg it down on one. Pastor, you talked about receptors. Probably I didn't get the question right, but you talked about intellectual capacity and development. Again, it's a complex issue. There are so many things coming in play, including even genetics comes in play. So what I meant by a receptor is a physical feature on every single cell, including the neurons ambazo zinasaidia mtu kukua na memory and everything else. Every single cell. For example, what is diabetes? Diabetes is the inability of the body to process sugar. Na unapata the receptor iko na shida. So when insulin binds the receptor, it does not bind to that receptor, the sugar is not stored. So it goes in your body, and then unakuwa na your hyperglycemia. It's known as diabetes. So receptors have very many functions, including brain function. This is one of them. Okay. Let me just revise. Oh, milk. If I speak about milk, I'll talk about saa 2 usiku. But let me give you a summary. You do not require adults. We do not need milk in our diet. We don't. We only take it because it's available and it is sweet. Actually, milk contains more sugars than proteins. Ile maji, kwa wale ambao, from where I come from, I know my sister is here, anapenda ile maziwa ambayo imeganda, which is actually the best form of milk which you can take, fermented. But fresh milk, kwanza hii packet, my wife knows. Let me give you just 2 minutes, because uliuliza. We assess students when they go to field attachments. So one of our students went to, I'll not say the name, manufacturer X, who manufacture milk. So we went to assess them there, and they showed us the process of how milk is made. I can guarantee you, what you take in your cup is not milk. And you see, the challenge is that we do not ask questions. You know what pasteurization is? Pasteurization is where you boil the milk to a certain temperature. I think it's 60, if I'm not wrong. And then unaichemsha inafika hiyo temperature, alafu unapoesha. So ikifika 60, inamaanisha vidude, the bacteria, everything else is killed. And then the milk is cooled, alafu inaprocessiwa, unaletewa kwa bucket, unanunua. That is what happens. So long life, the process of creating long life is not bad. Actually, they use Tetra Pak. Unaona inakuwa very specific. Although others ni wakora, waneka preservatives, so it stays for long. Sorry, so the Tetra Pak removes all the requirements for microorganisms to multiply. Inatoa hiyo oxygen, inatoa nini, alafu inakuwa sterile environment. So haiwezi haribika, even for 60 days, haitaharibika, itakuwa tu sawa. So the question is, what is the original content that is being preserved? The method of preservation is okay, your long life, but the content you're consuming is not. Okay? And it is acceptable, unapata watu wanaongeza vitu vingine ambazo si vizuri, it says for 60 days. So I'll not recommend for that, unless otherwise. But I'll say this, when you want, if you really want milk, really, although I may not recommend, enda kwa ile ng'ombe umefuga nyumbani, toa raw milk, chemusha, either ferment or take. But the nutritional value is minimal, and it's even not good for you. A story for another day, okay? So long life, they're not very good for, especially, do you know, let me ask a question. What is the best source of calcium? Where do you get your calcium from? I know you will say milk. But go do your research. Even ask a nutritionist. Milk is not even a source of usable calcium. Yes, it has calcium, but you cannot utilize it as it is. We say that nature is the best medicine because it is very well balanced. Apart from calcium and magnesium are absorbed together to the cell. For you to have magnesium, you must have calcium. Milk does not have that. It is not balanced. Yes, you'll have calcium. Actually, you'll have a condition called hypercalcemia. Inaanza kuingia kwa joints, kwa mifupa, in tissue, calcifying them, making them rigid as supposed to be. So we're adding problems where they were not there. If you take pure calcium, hata nimeona wengine wanachukua calcium supplements. Anyway, let me not say much. But asante kwa kuuliza hiyo swali. That kind of milk is not really, actually, long life. It does not give life. It takes life. You are a long life. Maybe you can answer the one for resuscitating the unconscious patient.
Thank you so much. I think, Elder, you have tackled a question that was assigned to me. Wangapi wamefurahia masomo ya leo? Wangapi wanasema health department is also an important department in this church? So I want to welcome our director and the elder as we close. I think we will have time next time. Maybe we are developing a series of trainings for all of us. We are calling on experts and they will be joining us. We want to train all of you, even the nannies. We want to train the mothers. We want to train all the leaders in this church so that when there is an emergency, you don't run away. You know where to go. When there is fire, we want even to train people on fire, okay? How to use the fire extinguishers around, how to run for safety, how to call for help. We want to share with you the notices of the emergency calls that you can have, the phone number of the OCS, the OCPD, the fire brigade, the phone number of the first elder. We'll paint it here. The health personnel on duty, we will have it here. Even we want to have a phone number for health department. When you are stuck, you call the director straight away. So it's a series of training that we are going to have, and I want to welcome the director so that she can be able to hand over to the elder as we finish for today. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. The director, I saw her somewhere. Okay. Okay, the elder will continue. Thank you.
What do we say? Yes, director, karibu. Kuja useme kitu. Mimi yangu ni kumaliza. Tuombe, tuko na visitation. So director says something. Umekuja na it is even good. Just say something so that we pray. Alafu kuna visitation kwa Patricia na hizo places.
Happy Sabbath. Tunashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu. Tumemaliza vizuri. The day has been good. The session has been interactive. Tunaomba tena next time mkuje hivyo. For those who came, tunashukuru sana, mbarikiwe. Na hizo vitu mmefunzwa, isiende hivyo, muzi practice. Otherwise, have a lovely evening. Have a wonderful week. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Let us stand up to wind up. Nimeshukuru sana. My closing remarks with this. Ukiwa mahali watu wanafundishwa, wewe ni mwanafunzi, amen? Ukishakuwa mwanafunzi unakuwa mwalimu. Hivyo ndivyo inakuwa. Kwa hivyo, wewe ukitoka hapa, wengine wetu tutaenda huko nyumbani, ushago. Utashtuka wewe ni elder. Si ndio? Utaanza tu kufanya vile elders wanafanya hapa. Wewe ukienda huko nyumbani, utajua calcium. Source of calcium ni gani? Si ndio? kwa sababu imefundishwa hapa. You don't have to you don't have to go to university to do that, because kama umesikia daktari amesema source of calcium ni 1, 3, 4, wewe pia utaambia tu watu source of calcium ni 1, 2, 3, 4, na wewe utaambia mtu unaota jua, unakunywa maji. That is the health message. Amen. That is what we need you to need us to take into consideration. Otherwise, thank you. Thank you, Director, and all of us in attendance. God bless you. Let us pray. Glorious God, mighty Father of heaven and earth, our Creator, God who loves us so much, God who cannot spare anything, including His Son, just to save us. We who are weak, some of us, oh Lord, who are very stubborn, oh God. Forgive us our weaknesses and strength and sins. Lord, may you make us strong where we are weak. Help us, oh Lord, to learn well and give us the confidence even to preach more, oh God. We thank you for all the facilitators, oh Lord, that you gave us today. We thank you, oh Lord, for the directors and the council members who have run the day so well, oh God. Bless us together, God, and remember us in the kingdom. May you remember also our country. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Yes, tunaenda nyumbani, tumemaliza 5:30. So there are visitations. Sister Patricia anaishi tu huku nyuma, and then Elder Lisema is Elder Joseph Mokaya. Kama uko na anything that requires the attention of elders, kama pastor unaweza kumwona, namba yake ni 0722 27 45 85. 0722 27 48 45 85. And we are also reminded of midweek prayers on Wednesdays and Friday. Kama kuna jambo ingine, tuende kwa visitation na tuonane mapenzi ya Mungu. And may God bless us.